welcome to this month's episode of Miracle Conversations. It is June of 2023. Maybe it's really hot where you are, maybe it's cold, maybe it's cloudy, June gloom. But in any case, welcome to this month's episode where we talk about miracle mindsets. So, my name is Brittany New, and I'm an entrepreneur that lives in Barcelona, Spain. Here it is quite gloomy today, June gloom for sure. And then we've got Dr. Dave Asomaning all the way over in Florida. This is not a weather forecast, but how's the weather over there, Dave?
I was going to say, whether you
Yeah.
asked me or not, that this is my favorite time of the year. It's
Really?
summer. It's
All right.
hot, blasting hot. You go out and it's so bright most of the
Mm-hmm.
time. It's so hot, and then I just escape into the air-conditioned car or back into the air-conditioned office or whatever it is. I love ducking and weaving
Mm-hmm.
away from the hot temperature. But it is my favorite time of
Nice.
the year, hot summer. Yeah,
Wonderful.
I love it. And but then the other thing is that it changes very quickly. It'll be
Mm-hmm.
hot and clear, as you could imagine, and then it'll rain, thunder, lightning for 30 minutes to an hour. Then it'll be bright again.
Mm-hmm.
It's very variable. So thanks for asking. This is
Yeah.
in the Palm Beach area on the
Okay.
I-95 corridor. So you've got, I'm 3 hours north of Miami on the
Mm-hmm.
same I-95 corridor, 2 hours, 2.5 hours north of Fort Lauderdale, and then you've got an hour away, door to door from to the airport, an hour away from the Palm Beach airport. And then
Okay.
Orlando is 2 hours north, Disney
Wow.
World and all of that. So
So you're
we're
like accessible to everything,
there's
right?
everything
Couple over
around
there,
here.
yeah.
Everything that you think of when you think of the east coast of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I go to the airport a lot to pick people up and drop people off who are coming and going. I was just there on Friday to pick up my 16-year-old nephew who came in from the Dominican Republic. So
Oh,
that was fun.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah, but I just taken them 2 weeks before to go
Mhm.
back. He had been visiting for a quick visit, so it's fun. It's all fun. Yeah,
Nice,
it's good.
nice. So tell us what you do, and you're an expert in miracle mindsets, and introduce a little bit about your coaching business.
Thanks, Brittany. Yeah, and thanks. Good to see you, by the way,
Yeah, good to see you too.
for this our June 2023 call.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I'm an executive coach, which means that I work with CEOs and their teams quite
Hmm.
often, and then executives, other C-suite executives, and entrepreneurs, as
Hmm.
well as other leaders who don't necessarily fit into those specific categories. And the area that I really focus on with all my clients is on what I refer to as miracle mindsets. Miracle mindsets. So this is different that it's related to, but different from having a positive mindset or a growth mindset,
Hmm.
uh, which have been in vogue in coaching and educational circles uh, over the last decade and a half, 2 decades, especially um, growth mindset as an antidote to fixed mindsets. But
Mm.
miracle mindset is something very, very specific in that I think of miracles as solutions to problems that seem impossible to solve, whether
Hmm.
they're health problems or financial problems or relationship problems. And so, miracle mindset is about how to fix things that are seem like giants or mountains in our lives that need to be moved. And then all of this leads to improved effectiveness, ease, and fulfillment in the professional and personal lives of the leaders I work with. So yeah, thanks, Brittany, for hosting this process and being a wonderful sidekick to the program that we do every every month. It makes it easy to be in dialogue about these issues around miracle mindset. And we are now approaching what the towards the end of our third year doing this.
Hmm.
Yeah,
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 it's amazing. Time flies.
it does. It
Yeah,
does.
when you're
We've
having
done a
fun
lot
and
together.
manifesting miracles.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So to a few other preliminary things, by the way. Yeah.
Hmm.
So if there's anything you want to say that I'm missing, you just tell me to be quiet, and you can. I'll give you the mic. So, so we've been working, thanks to you, Brittany, you recommended we think about the theme of miracles, the word miracles,
Mm-hmm.
for this year's theme. We pick a year every year. I've been doing this process for about 12 years. Um, you and I have been recording it, distributing it through my social media platform for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I say all of that is because each year we've done a different theme.
Mm-hmm.
Atonement has been one of the years, light, peace,
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start in November with the new theme for 2024, and it'll be interesting to see what the theme is. I think someone's mentioned a theme to me. I'll have to look at my notes and see what it is. But so that's one point I wanted to make, and then the other thing before we get going with today's study is that, well, a couple of other quick things. So, in addition to the theme of the year, I have been carrying the lesson 46, with me through the year as well, with a specific focus on lesson 46, which says, lesson 47, God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. And find that very powerful and very comforting. And it actually features indirectly in today's study a little bit. So I'll cross reference it when we get there. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is a huge, huge miracle in this actual process that we've been doing. The miracle relates to you, Brittany. So, um, one of my fun parts of introducing our process and our call together. So, when I first met you, Brittany, you were helping me with basic worksheets that I was using in my coaching calls, and those things were so unattractive. The ones I was using, and then I would send them to you. I said, can you beautify these? And they'd come back and they just look so amazingly professional for me. And then we evolved from there to you helping me with video modules for my online course. So I would just speak into the microphone, teaching from the graphics that you had, many of the graphics you had made for me, and then another graphic designer had done for me too. And then you bundled all of those into just amazing course modules, right? So that was the second major like epiphany about your talents and your skills, and the second miracle. Then those course modules, I gave to somebody who reconfigured into a rough outline for the book, the Nightmares to Miracles book. And then the book was eventually published. Feel very good about it. It's a solid book. And you and I put our heads together about how to incorporate some of that this year. The book was published in 2021. So this year, 2023, we've incorporated aspects of the book in a more robust way into our calls. And so using them for the monthly show. And then the final part to this, what you bring miraculously to the work is that you will take our raw recording from this show, and then you'll edit it, and you'll repurpose it into a written blog, and then into an audio podcast without the video, and then to the video podcast for YouTube, and you'll post it in all the relevant places
Mm-hmm.
for me. It's just amazing. It's so productive. It's such a big lift. And so I love saying it every time, that we're talking about this every time, because it's a rehearsing of the miracle that's been inherent in this evolution. I mean, I couldn't imagine having to do any of that. I'd be lost. I don't have the skill. I don't have the talent. I don't have the ability. But it's just all happened, and then it gets repurposed to 9 social media platforms.
Wow.
Right? So somebody else takes all of that and systematically. I don't post every day. I post twice a month.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like because of what you've created, it helped me to create. It's led to this amazing productivity in getting the the word out there. And I think you alerted me to this. You say call it the thought leadership ecosystem or something to
Mm.
that effect, right? So anyway,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so over to you. You've been quiet. I've been talking a little bit. Mike, I'll give the mic to you and anything you want to say about your work and where people can find you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for shouting me out as you do every month. I really appreciate it. And my website is brittanynew.com, where you can find some list of my services and how to get in contact with me. And I also have a YouTube channel with some tutorials on how to do certain things yourself if you're into trying to learn how to be a little bit more tech advanced. That way, I've got about 12,000 subscribers now of all ages and all backgrounds, learning how to take control of their own digital assets. So that's really fun. And yeah, it's such a pleasure working with you on this project specifically and also the course and being one of the first to get my hands on the book and leave a review. That's all been such a pleasure. And this is a really positive, really energizing point in my month of work that I get to do throughout the month. So I really appreciate this too. Um, yeah.
Yeah, so great. Yeah, and it's been such a miracle. And the power of technology is such that I always like to mention that we've actually never met in person over this time. And it's just incredible that we've been as productive in as seamless a way as we have been doing
Yeah.
this digitally and virtually. And I mean, I imagine that down the line there are,
Mhm.
opportunities, for instance, when it's the right time to
Mhm.
do a meaningful overhaul of the course in particular,
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
make it a more sophisticated
Mhm.
presentation from soup to nuts. I think you alerted me to the fact that that can be done
Mhm.
very early on. So that would be something I think nice to do in person at some point. But
Mhm.
I mean, that notwithstanding, we've been immensely productive. It's just been great, So
Yeah,
thrilled that
that brings me
yeah.
to have you ever heard of the Mind Valley platform?
I have, I have.
Yeah,
I've
I
looked at
feel
some of
like
their
this
things. Yeah,
course could be so nice on that platform, wouldn't
is
it?
that
It
right?
just would fit
Yeah.
in right perfectly. I just became exposed to it, and I was like, Dave could be on here easily. We need to get
Well,
you on there.
yeah. Well, thank you. We'll hold that out as a possible miracle
Yeah.
unfolding because, yeah, there's so much of their material and how they
Hmm.
do it and how they think. It's all very hospitable to
Yeah.
what we do too. Mind
Hmm.
Valiant's a big, sprawling effort. I mean, they've got
Hmm.
so many different things going
Yeah, I
there.
wonder how it
So,
works. It's not like there's a lot of platforms where you can just throw your own course on there, no vetting needed, but I don't think this one's like that. So there's also Gaia TV, but I don't think that's courses. I think that's more documentaries.
hmm
Um, anyhow,
Fun to
thanks
think
for
about.
that
Yeah.
intro.
You're welcome.
Anything else you want to add before we get into the lesson? I mean, yeah, you mentioned theme. Anything else?
Yeah, I think that
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful. I'm really grateful for this platform that we've created together.
Mm-hmm.
It feels meaningful to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it can feel, in my mind, that the audience might think it's a bit repetitive around some of the same things over and over again, which it
Mm-hmm.
is. Although I just want to say that from my perspective, it becomes more powerful
Mm-hmm.
and more meaningful with the
Mm-hmm.
repetition. It's sort of like any practice. You're
Mm-hmm.
doing the basics over and over again. Miracle mindset and all the
Mm-hmm.
elements of miracle mindset
Mm-hmm.
drawn from A Course in Miracles, mixed in now with how I did the book. But I'm not making an apology or doing special pleading per se. I'm just saying that I'm mindful that it could seem like a lot of it is repetitive
Mm-hmm.
if it's not considered to be an ongoing practice.
Right.
The way to
Mm-hmm.
think about what we do is that we're practicing certain fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
So we repeat them over and over and over from different angles with
Yeah.
slightly different nuances to them, but they're adding to like this massive inner skill set when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to miracle mindset. So that's just a thought that I've had on my mind for our audience.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because we are the ones putting this out there. Like we're the ones preparing for it, filming it, organizing it. So I guess we look at it at least 5 times more than someone watching. It doesn't feel too repetitive to me. So
Right. Oh, good.
yeah,
Good.
it feels always like a good reminder, a new context, a new angle, and that's what we're trying to do. So I think it's a good note. But if you don't agree, that's okay. Also, you
Well,
don't have to
yeah,
keep
yeah,
watching.
exactly. Nobody out there has to agree. But to your
Yeah.
point, then, it makes me think in addition about an additional nuance in that I will also, before you and I meet, I'll also have done the lesson with a live group the first or second week of the month. So I have a live ongoing call. That's the call that's been going on for the 12 years that I mentioned.
Right.
And they're very supportive, very powerful, very important group of companions. And then we have a second group. So after you and I have done this, I'll do it another time in the same month with the second group.
Wow.
And so again, to me, it's like I look forward to it. I enjoy doing it. It doesn't feel repetitive to me. But I imagine that I'm just trying to put on the ears of an audience member, like, man, they talk about the same things a lot.
Quick question about those groups. Do you have any individual that has been in the group for 12 years?
I do. I have two people who were the original sort of people who helped. That was a miracle how it came about, how it started.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, so those two people have been a part of that process. And then we've probably, if everybody who had joined had stayed over time, we would probably be up to about 30 members.
Wow.
From all the different corners of places. But people come and go and, different things. So I think we're stable at around 8 total people,
Cool.
So it's
12 years, founding members of the group. That's amazing.
Yeah, two people who are the original founding members, but we have just amazingly wonderful dialogue partners, in the process. So
incredible.
Well, thank you. Right. Great question. Thanks. I'll tell them that for those who don't pay attention to this part of what we do, I'll tell them that.
Yeah, they deserve a little award. Maybe a bottle of wine or a box of chocolate.
There you go. Yes, I will give that some thought. It's a good prod for this hermit.
Yeah, when you get to your 12 years, everyone watching, join the group, and when you get to 12 years, you're going to get a box of chocolate.
There you go. There you go. Good. That's a good prod. So, well, great. So, lots of fun in what we're talking about, and I love it. So, anything else before we pivot to the lesson?
Nope, I'm ready to go.
All right. So the lesson for today is lesson 91. And the headline for the lesson is Miracles are seen in light. Miracles are seen in light. So at this point, I'm happy if for our audience members who are not really familiar with these lessons or as familiar as others might be, you're saying, what in the world does that mean? Miracles are seen in light. And hopefully some of the quick reflections on this will help to make it clear. So the first paragraph, I think, unfolds a lot of the things we want to talk about regarding this lesson. The first paragraph of the lesson. So it says in paragraph 1, it is important to remember that miracles and vision necessarily go together. This needs repeating and frequent repeating. It is a central idea in your new thought system and the perception that it produces. The miracle is always there. Its presence is not caused by your vision. Its absence is not the result of your failure to see. It is only your awareness of miracles that is affected. If you will see them in the light, you will not see them in the dark. Sorry, you will see them in the light, you will not see them in the dark. So let me just do a process check with you, Brittany. I have some outdoor noise going on. Are you hearing anything? Okay, great.
No, I don't hear it.
Great, perfect. All right. If you do, let me know, and I can be pausing and muting and things like that. So, yeah, great. This first paragraph has a few things that I think if we unpack together will make everything clear, right? So when A Course in Miracles uses vision, it's typically referring to God's vision of us in our perfection, which basically then means that it has to do with all the miracles that have been prepared for us to pull us out of suffering, out of struggle, out of scarcity, out of isolation, out of deprivation, that come from the way our ego behaves, which is to distance us from our source. So vision really has to do with all these things that have been prepared for us on a spiritual level uh, to counter um, the separation from God, right? So that's what
Mm-hmm.
vision means
Mm-hmm.
in A Course in Miracles. So that the things that we see and look at with the body's eyes are the opposite of vision. They're actually illusions created by the ego as part of the virtual kind of simulated reality that is the um, parallel but opposite to God's original for
Mm-hmm.
us or what God has prepared for us, right? So that's why this section is talking about the fact that the miracles exist in a pure and perfect form as created by God for us, whether we're tuned into them or not, whether we see them or not. They don't appear because we are seeing them. They don't disappear because we're not seeing them. They're always there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fluid, variable, back and forth, up and down, scarcity, pain filled world that we're usually living in through our bodies is a form of darkness,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when it says miracles are seen in light, what it means is our going inward to a place that doesn't have anything to do with the body and sort of connecting with this inner divine GPS, this inner divine source. So let me pause here. Everything else that we would say about miracles are seen in light can be derived from these fundamentals that we're talking about in the first paragraph. Let me check to see if you have any thoughts or questions on your end, and then there'll just be a few other things that we'll touch on in order to finish this part.
No, I think you've unpacked that quite clearly. So yeah, just continue on then.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, for me, it raises the question, which is easily addressed, about the fact that, but I see sunlight, I see light bulbs, I see
Mm-hmm.
that's all light. So how can I be, and there's daylight and there's nighttime, and so
Mm-hmm.
how can I be told that all of that is still a form of darkness, right? And the easy way to just sort of gather all that up is that everything that the physical eyes see
Mm-hmm.
is part of a world made for the body, which is
Mm-hmm.
extremely limited.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a fraction of all the different forms of communication that are available.
Mm-hmm.
And it's mostly outward in the simulation or in the movie or the nightmare that we're living individually and collectively. And so, really, it's like the way there might be daytime and nighttime if you're having a nightmare,
Mm-hmm.
or if
I
there's
see.
daytime and nighttime in a movie.
Yeah.
It's in the movie, and you can see it, and you can say, "Oh, lights, there's light there, there's darkness here," but the whole thing itself is an illusion, like a nightmare would be,
Mm-hmm.
or like a movie would
I
be.
see.
And
Mm-hmm.
then the question is raised, well, okay, so how do we go about connecting with the inner light? If there is this inner light that comes from spirit and source and has nothing to do with the body, how do we connect with it? And again, that's, I mean, a cheeky answer would be to say, well, that's the whole Course of Miracles, right? A Course in Miracles. The whole point of it is to train us on how to uh, see the inner light and awaken to the inner light. And so again, that's a broad and kind of very general and cheeky answer. We'll see in this exercise, in this lesson, some specific exercises for addressing that. So let's look at those um, suggestions or recommendations here. It says um, in paragraph 5, 3 times today, set aside about 10 minutes for a quiet time in which you try to leave your weaknesses behind, which means looking at things through false light or actual darkness encompassed in the body. This is accomplished very simply as you instruct yourself that you are not a body. Faith goes to what you want, and you instruct your mind accordingly. Your will remains your teacher, and your will has all the strength to do what it desires. You can escape the body if you choose. You can experience the strength in you. Begin the longer practice periods with this statement of true cause and effect relationships. Miracles are seen in light. The body's eyes do not perceive the light, but I am not a body. What am I? Right? So this is just a process, if you're really interested in it, to just go through what seem like the mechanics of what this passage is telling us to do. And this passage emphasizes that you will be met by spirit, which is the source of light from within. You will be met and taken to another level. So this question, what am I if I'm not a body? Well, the answer, to cut to the chase, is I am spirit. Right? Now, just a quick point about how it's talking about the body. It's not demonizing or pathologizing the body, right? It's not the body is evil, the body is bad. The body is simply neutral as a reflection of what's going on in the mind and what the mind is receiving from spirit. Right? So the body is like almost like your computer screen, as a place in which you see the evidence of what's happening more deeply in your computer. So if there are viruses and if there's malware on the hard drive, it'll show up as weird crashing kinds of phenomena on the screen. But the screen itself is not inherently typically doing those things. If there are lovely things going on and efficient things going on in the computer, they'll be manifest on the screen. So that's what the body is. It's described as a learning device. It tells us what the weather is at the deeper levels of the soul, right? But it's not, the Course is careful not to demonize the body. The body's evil, the body's bad, because that introduces all kinds of other conflicts, Elsewhere, it says that when we die, the best way to be able to die is if we simply take off this garment we've been wearing and fold it up and lay it aside and thank it for all the years of service it's provided us with.
Oh,
right?
that's beautiful. Yeah.
It's a very beautiful, gentle way of thinking of dying. And I always think about it when I've learned that people close to me have died.
Yeah.
Of which in the last month there have been a lot. I think there's six different people that I've been connected to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mostly clients who have died, but I've been long-term, 20 years, traveling with them and their families and their children and so on. So my condolences to all of them and love to all of them, keeping their confidentiality and anonymity, of course. But yeah, so there's just one other thing here, and then I'll see if you have any final thoughts, and then we'll go to the book chapter we're on today from my book. So let's see. There's one other thing here. If we go back a step. Here we go. Okay. So paragraph 4, I'm going back now a step to cross-reference to lesson 47, which I mentioned earlier in the beginning. Here it says, in paragraph 4, it says, your efforts, however little they may be, have strong support. Did you but realize how great the strength, your doubts would vanish. Today we will devote ourselves to the attempt to let you feel this strength. When you have felt the strength in you, which makes all miracles within your easy reach, you will not doubt. The miracles you sense of weakness hides, the miracles your sense of weakness hides will leap into awareness as you feel the strength in you. That's why I was saying earlier that if you just trust the steps that are being explained here and you open your heart and mind to receive the miracles, because you'll be tapping into the light inside that helps you see the miracles, you will be convinced as you see the strength show up for you, right? But it's about free will and agency and making the request so that we can't complain and say, oh, this stuff is being imposed on me and I didn't really want it, and I want to struggle. I want to be asleep. I want to be in my nightmare. I want the drama of all of that. I really don't want the freedom from scarcity and the freedom from pain and suffering and deprivation and isolation that comes from the miracles inside. I don't really want that. Some people have that as a position. That's not what they want. And so the divine is very, very respectful in that we just do the little bit of what this exercise is asking us to do, which is to go inward and try to tap into that inner source of light, and it will meet us with multiples, billions of multiples of the strength that we're putting out. So we can feel weak, but we'll be met with this incredible strength. So that's why I carry lesson 47 with me, uh, and I've been doing it for this year as a kind of reminder. It says, God is the strength in which I trust. And then I say this as a mantra to myself all through the day. I wake up with it. I say it. I try to say it every hour for a few minutes. And then I really go to sleep with it. God is the strength in which I trust, because, I mean, that's the inner GPS, and it does the heavy lifting about everything. And the more I do it, the more it becomes clear that I'm actually just stepping out of the way
Mm-hmm.
and letting vision from that inner source of light
Mm-hmm.
replace my own sort of silly, befuddled, inadequate ways. And then I've said this to you, I think, before. I'm increasingly saying it in more places. I say, for me as Dave, I'm as dumb as a doorknob, and I'm not putting myself down. I'm just making fun of myself and other human beings too, because as smart and as accomplished as we are, it doesn't come anywhere near close what this inner GPS can do for us
Mm-hmm.
if we collaborate with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings us to, I think, a good stopping place for this lesson. Let me just see if you have any thoughts or anything you want to say or ask, and then we'll go a little bit into a brief treatment of chapter 7 of my book.
Yeah, I feel like another word for vision in this could be maybe like truth. We talk about like truth as opposed to fear, and kind of like these universal truths that are not as much true about ourselves, but certainly true about God, and we are a reflection of God. So that's kind of like the transitive property through which these truths apply to us, and that's the vision. I feel like that's just another little way I'm interpreting it.
I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, vision can represent any of the
Mm-hmm.
additional attributes of what those
Mm-hmm.
pre-made miracles represent, right? So it could be
Mm-hmm.
peace,
Mm-hmm.
love, strength, joy, abundance, health,
Mm-hmm.
it's just, they're so multidimensional and holographic in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to wrap our arms around them with just one word. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that
Yeah.
insight that you had. Great. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, all right. If anything else occurs to you that you want to put into the mix, we'll do it. So I'm going to share my screen now. So yeah, so I like the cover, Nightmares to Miracles. Um, it was originally just going to be the blue and the white, and I always sort of tell the story that the designer. I was looking at it more closely one time, and I was like, "What's that gray smudgy stuff? Like, why is it? They've just made a horrible mistake. It's got gray smudges all over. I don't get what that is." And then I looked more closely, and I was like, "Oh, those are Native American dream catchers." And then it completely changed my take on it. I was like, "Oh, those are not bad at all." I like she she independently on her own just included, this amazing sort of gift to me. I had said nothing about dream catchers or dream weavers, and it was just amazing. So, and then I always say there's a bit of a puzzle here related to A Course in Miracles. I'm not giving it away. I want to see if, with that very general input, people are intrigued enough to say something about what they think the representation from A Course in Miracles is. So basically, in the one-page mind trainer, this is the place at which in my process with my individual clients, we start to really work on the vision board, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
might get some input from you about your vision board process as we go along.
Mm-hmm.
But it's color coded, where the red is the practical key, the
Mm-hmm.
blueprint is the blueprint key, and then the inner genius key is the red, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like a worksheet document to come up with the different quadrants, different categories that one wants to touch on with regard to uh, the process of doing the vision board. So, for example, um, you'll have three columns: the practical, the blueprint, and the inner genius. And then under the practical, there are the main goals for the year in health, wealth, love, and enlightenment. Right? So those are top headline goals for 2023. Still have half the year to go. And then each year, this would be an upgraded document, at the very least, although it's upgraded more often than that for people. And then um, underneath the goals, you have recent achievements, just a list of the things that one is proudest of or most gratified and fulfilled by. And then underneath, this is also in the practical key, underneath that column, you have what I refer to as the parking lot. These are things that one might want to uh, approach doing, but not right away, not in the current year. Just things that maybe 2, 3 years down the line, start a family, get married, uh, buy a house, relocate to a different part of the country, go back to school, but not in the current year, right? So that's all the first column, uh, the practical column. And it's, again, it's just working out what the details are. What are my goals? What do I want? Um, and then eventually all of these are going to be then illuminated by pictures and the typical things that we do with um, vision boards. Right? So there's this worksheet aspect of it first. And then the second column is the blueprint key. And here we have a box for the things that stress us out. Currently, I'm stressed out by my mortgage. I'm stressed out by my student loans. I'm stressed out by my spouse. I'm stressed out by my kids. Whatever the stress, these things are really stressing me out. You know, I'm stressed out by the biopsy that says I might have cancer, but I have to do follow-ups. It's whatever's stressing us out. Then underneath that, we have all the sort of the main traumas that in our coaching work we've been doing inventories for um, since we were born. So up until 10 years old, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and so on. And those are traumas. They're not just stressors, but they're deep-seated pain points in our lives. So that's the second column. And we're just looking at those things, keeping them in mind that when we do the actual vision board, we're looking to post things on the vision board that address those, the stress factors and then the traumas, things that pertain to healing, freedom, release, and so on. The final column on here is the inner genius key, which we've been tracking through the whole book, right? So here, we're talking about something that you feel you might have a particular genius about or proclivity towards or affinity for. So in your case, I imagine that it has to do, if we were doing this with or for you, it would have to do with design,
Mm-hmm.
graphic design,
Mm-hmm.
images, that there's something for you that you're very gifted about in this area and passionate about in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let me check with
Mm-hmm.
you and see if that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's a special talent or passion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have a special talent for the guitar and playing the guitar, but I don't have a special talent for it. Those are two different
Oh.
things. It's a
Special
passion,
passion,
but I
but not
don't.
talent. Oh.
I have the passion, but I don't have the talent. Right? Anyway, so here you see again. I'm not going to belabor everything, but here you see the on the left hand side, you see the goals for the year. You see recent achievements underneath that. You see the parking lot, already been mentioned. In the middle column, you see the stress box, space to list things that might be stressing one out, and then main traumas from childhood. And then this is where we were. We're talking about genius areas, and I
Mm-hmm.
was just sort of making fun of myself about the fact that I have
Mm-hmm.
a passion for the guitar, but I don't really have a talent for it. You know, at least the talent hasn't manifested yet. Maybe there'll be a miracle at some point, and I'll just start playing like Jimi Hendrix, like you wouldn't believe. But at the moment, that's not been happening. So, and I've been studying the guitar for 30 years. So, but I have fun with it. I enjoy it. It's like the way somebody might play golf who isn't all that serious about it, or
Yeah.
tennis, or They
That's
are
what it's
sort
all
of
about.
say
Hmm.
that again?
That's what it's all about, just enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're metaphors for life.
Mm.
It's like
Hmm.
if you practice, you get better, even though
Hmm.
it's not the most talented thing. If you don't practice, you don't get better.
Hmm.
Uh, if you practice with joy and lightness of spirit, you enjoy it. And it's like, oh,
Hmm.
I can play songs. I mean, I could play in a band.
Hmm.
I could play just about any song that has been played by human beings. I could play backup and it would sound okay. So I mean, at least at some level, I've stayed with it over time and
Hmm.
I've enjoyed it. The whole point is the practice aspect I was talking about earlier.
Hmm.
What does a person practice and live with and go deeper with as the years of their lives unfold, and what lessons of life does it teach, right?
Hmm.
Um, and then exponentials. Exponentials are the things that we think of that help us to multiply our effort. So most of us
Hmm.
understand that email is an exponential in our lives.
Hmm.
If I had to send 1 million people a letter every day using snail mail, putting the addresses on the envelopes, however I do it, printing out the letter, stamps for 1 million letters, that's a daunting task. If I have to send some message to 1 million people by email, it's as simple as writing the letter and attaching the email addresses and sending.
Yeah. Moment of gratitude. It was not that long ago where we weren't able to do this. I remember.
Correct. That's
Wow.
exactly right. And then what you and I
Yeah.
are doing is having a meeting,
Hmm.
almost as if we are in the same space,
Yeah.
thousands of miles apart. We've already referenced this. I can see
Hmm.
your features, you can see my features. We can put things up on the board most
Hmm.
of the time
Hmm.
efficiently and look at stuff together. And it's just
Yeah.
wow, these are all exponentials. They
Hmm.
take our effort and they make them so much more powerful uh,
Mm.
with minimal cost in effort, right? So
Hmm.
I encourage my clients to think of whatever speaks to them in this exponential way. What inspires you? I think of catalysts and enzymes. They take reactions in the body that, especially enzymes, that would take 8 hours, 12 hours. We'd be dead if it took that long for the reactions to
Hmm.
happen. But you add the enzymes or the catalysts,
Hmm.
and they happen in a split second, these reactions, and you got billions of them going on at any time. So enzymes are catalytic, are exponential to me. So there's all of that,
Mm.
and then the final section here is your miracle resume, right? So the
Hmm.
miracle resume is all the things that you've had happen in your life that you consider to be a miracle, right? So for me, coming to the States as a 17-year-old to go to college, that was a miracle for me. Um, Being a biology major and then switching from biology to psychology and religion, which were more sort of suited to me in a way, getting into a competitive PhD program, finishing that PhD program, building my business around all of that stuff. I mean, these have been some of the miracles. And then one of the main miracles that I talk about a lot is my heart miracle, where I mean, I was done for. I thought I was dead. I thought I was checked out. And then, thanks to Course in Miracles and the Miracle Process, I've had since 2014. I didn't die. I didn't need open heart surgery. I'm not on heart medication. I can exercise. I don't think about my heart that much. Uh, Maybe I should more, but so miracle resume is whatever the miracles are for you. And then let me just see if you have anything you want to say or ask, and I'll just do this last little box underneath here, and then we'll be finished with the one-page mind trainer.
No, nothing to add. Keep on going.
All right. So, 4 doors to miracle success. This is just a reminder with some affirmations to stay focused on the sort of the basics and what's most important. Our health and well-being, our financial security, wealth, and the work we do for that, love, circles of love, including starting with ourselves, and then with the universe, with the divine, with people in our family, our friendship circles, our colleagues from work, plants, animals, the whole world. You have got all these circles, and people have different levels of emphasis with different levels of circles, but um, that's love. And then enlightenment is really this thing we've been talking about today, the inner light and constantly practicing how to have a stronger relationship with the inner light, because that's where we see things. And in particular, miracles are seen in light. That's where we see the miracles that have been prepared for us so that we can enjoy them and use them to great effect. Um, so this whole thing then is kind of the foundation for vision board. And then so you see people then begin to make the vision board based on how they fill this out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's enormously gratifying, to see it
Mm-hmm.
the first time and then to see it in subsequent years. Like, this was version 1, this is version 2, this is version 3. So I know it's a bit elaborate as a process to do a vision board, but that's it. That's what I wanted to get out today. Anything you want to say about vision board from your side before we wrap up for today?
Yeah, sure. So I've got an old YouTube video. I've been saying I want to update it. I haven't done it yet, but I've got an old YouTube video on how to make a digital vision board using some graphic design tools that are really easy for anyone to use. So if you're not familiar with it, or even if you are, there's a website called canva.com. And if you go on Canva, you can create a free account. It's really easy to use. And as soon as you get started, it'll ask you what you want to create. You can just write vision board in the search bar, and it will give you tons of templates and kind of examples of how you could make a vision board. You could choose a style that really speaks to you. Some of them have like Polaroid style photos all over the page, or some of them are meant to look more like a scrapbook, because back in the day, the traditional way, or even still today, it's really fun to cut out magazine clippings, newspaper clippings, and like paste them onto. So you can do that digitally. The benefit of the digital version is you can really get hyper specific on what images you want to have. So if you have some magazines, you're limited to the images, the people, the ethnicities of the people in the magazines, and that kind of thing. You don't have like all the options in the world. Maybe you want a specific car or a specific type of spouse or something like that. You can really search through their millions and millions of photos. And it's also common to clip out words or phrases or quotes. And instead of having to do the, what is that called? the when someone's for ransom and they make a ransom note out of all the
All
the
right.
different clippings, instead of
Yeah,
having to do it that
anonymously.
style,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
anonymous style,
Yeah.
you can just type out the words in any pretty font that you like, and it could look a little bit more aesthetic, as we like to say. So that's another way you can do that, and then you can save it to your computer, make it your desktop. You could still print it out, blow it up on a poster. Canva has the option for you to, this is not an ad for Canva or anything, but they do have the option for you to print out a poster directly through them. They'll ship it to your house, free shipping. So yeah, there's tons of things you can do and just get it really hyper specific. And with these vision boards, the more it like energizes you and speaks to you and ignites that fire within you, the more effective it is for the subconscious. So it could be worth doing as another alternative.
That is just wonderful. Thank you for giving us a kind of a nuts and bolts
Mm-hmm.
a way of thinking about,
Mm-hmm.
um, thinking about actually where to get resources
Mm-hmm.
to use to populate
Mm-hmm.
the vision board. That's excellent.
Mine is, I think it's very, very pretty. It has all these colors that just make me so happy. I edit my own photos of myself with a filter that has the right colors put in and taken out, very soft. So you'll see it when I upload the picture. But I wanted it to look very peaceful and serene and kind of beachy. So
Yes.
I've got some stock photos from Canva mixed in with photos of me. And I
Cool.
think putting photos of yourself on your vision board is powerful because it just reinforces that the thing that you want for your life is possible. You've already
Yes.
done it, you can do it again. So I've got like a favorite travel photo of myself holding a bouquet of flowers and just like a trip like that I want to do more of that. I have a picture of myself in a hotel room working on my laptop. So just kind of like working from anywhere, manifesting more of that in my life. I've got a picture of a dream apartment. It's not mine, but it doesn't look too dissimilar from the one I already have, just a little bit bigger, more spacious.
Yes.
I've got some cash money under a laptop. That's symbolic of, being able to make money off of my computer. I've got some good food, and I'm not so big on the flashy things. A lot of people put like cars, and a lot of people put maybe jet planes, and those things are
Yeah.
cool. But I have one thing that I'm trying to manifest in my near future, which is an engagement ring.
Hey, all
So
right.
I've got my
Yes.
Cartier Solitaire 1895 ring on
Love
there,
it. I love
and
it.
I'm single, so if you know anybody,
Yes, that's right.
um,
We'll keep
yeah.
that in mind.
So
We're supporting you.
yeah.
That's one of the things about the group process is
Mm-hmm.
supporting one another's intentions and
Mm-hmm.
desired outcomes for sure. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. And then I've
Love
got
that.
some words written here. It says love, faith, abundance, peace, health, joy, and financial freedom. So those are
Okay.
some keywords
Okay.
I threw up on mine. But
Excellent.
yeah, I don't like to share that much. It's like I did some videos on it, but it's such a personal thing, but I feel compelled today, so let's do it.
Good. Good. All right. Well, that'll help be
Yeah.
helpful. It'll
Mm-hmm.
give people a flavor for
Mm-hmm.
what the design possibilities are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we'll see what the next time holds for us in terms of sharing the screen where actual clients who have used the process, and you see what they've filled in for
Mm-hmm.
themselves and then what it ends up looking like. And it would look like any vision board. The final outcome will look like any vision board because
Mm-hmm.
it's just pictures, most and
Exactly.
words. So,
Mm-hmm.
but so you couldn't tell that it was distinctive to the process that we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But the worksheet part where the person fills it all in
Mm-hmm.
to get to the vision board,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. The one page is in some ways the most complex thing to articulate and explain.
Mm-hmm. A lot of
And then we did.
components. Yeah.
All right. So, anything else before we close?
No, yeah, you've got your assignment already cut out for you. We like to end with a little practical assignment for the viewers or practical homework or whatever you want to call it, call to action. So go ahead and think about what components you would like to add to your one-page mind trainer and make a vision board. So why not? But yeah, thanks so much for being with us, guys, and thanks, Dave, for having me on again.
Yeah, thank you for the call to action. You're always so great with those. Really appreciate it. And if you want to share with us, please do. Let us know,
Yeah.
and you can send yours to Brittany through her contact information or to
Hmm.
me. I would love to see what you have, and who knows? At some point, we might make this into a bigger thing, and uh, not so much a competition, but just showcasing more of them. Uh, that are fit for public consumption. So yes, and then finally, thank you, Brittany, for all your help today. We had fun with the call, laughing and even
Hmm.
stumbling over things. It's all good. It was just a great call. Good, I have a
Likewise.
very good feeling. And it's all a tribute to you and the foundation we have, and staying in the light and everything
Hmm.
that we do as much as possible. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I'll look forward to seeing you for our July call,
All
Brittany,
right, I'll see you
and
then.
yeah, enjoy the weather
All right,
in your
likewise,
neck of
yeah.
the woods. Okay, thanks, Brittany.
Okay,
Bye for now.
bye.